Miami Heat, Miami Heat. Miami Heat, Miami Heat, Miami Heat. Miami Heat, Miami Heat. Miami Heat, Miami Heat. It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Heat Beat Podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas, and with me today, Mr. Drip Drop himself, Alex Musibuy.
What's up? Gotta hit him one time for a Hall of Famer. Drip drop from Mr. Dwyane Wade. I'm excited for this one, G.
We're talking about a legend today, as everybody is locally, but it's our turn too. You know what I mean? Chat's happy to see Moose's beautiful face on twitch.tv/Miami Heat Beat. Shout out to everybody that's watching us live. Shout out to everybody that watches us on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe. And of course, shout out to our beautiful podcast audience. So Brian Goins was supposed to join us. He finally got back to me after 2 days of not answering texts. He's apparently fighting for his life at urgent care. So hashtag prayers up for Brian Goins. He's just like
prayers up for Brian, prayers up for Hawaii. Rough day.
What happened in Hawaii?
Oh, look it up. Hawaii.
I've been offline. Like, listen, Moose, I gotta tell you, before we get to Dwyane, let's check in with each other because we've barely spoken.
That's true. We really haven't spoken. The most I've spoken to you in like the last month is just like, hey, G, if you're gonna do a Dwyane Wade pod, I want on.
Yeah. I haven't done any pod. We haven't done any off-season content. We have been in vacation mode.
Yeah.
Listen, it's summertime. We're enjoying. I am barely on. I have 2 Twitter accounts. I'm barely on the basketball. The basketball one's like the work one, Moose. I have no idea. Dame could have been traded, and I wouldn't know.
Yeah, well, shocker, no Dame news yet.
Okay.
So that's why we actually haven't been potting. That's why we've been enjoying our vacation, if you want to be honest.
Honestly, shout out to Cronin for extending our vacation.
Shout out to Cronin for hooking up Miami Heat Beat with a nice little month break right here before it gets busy. But listen, there's things going on in the world, G, that are unfortunately a little bit more depressing. Just prayers up for Brian and Hawaii. I'll fill you in on it later.
All right,
let's focus on some happy stuff here because we got a big weekend here.
We got
it's not happening here in Miami, but it feels like it.
A Wade weekend, if you will. Alliteration. Dwyane Wade finally getting inducted to the Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Famer for us down here. I mean, obviously,
only took him one time.
Well, it really did. I had Chris Bosh didn't get it on his first try. Yeah. And that's a guy that we thought would be like a surefire first ballot guy, but to be a first ballot guy.
Difficult circumstances for Bosh though, with Kobe and all that. I think it was a timing issue as well. His class.
Yeah, and then there were some other,
KG as well.
Yeah, it was a tough thing, but D Wade. No matter what the class is, he was going to get in regardless. I think pretty consensus a top 25 player all time. I think around that range. I probably have him closer to 20. Some folks might have him at 25. Regardless, Moose, it was coming. The celebration, and it's Moose. He is not only the most decorated athlete in South Florida, and I tell people this all the time, that guy walks on water here unlike anybody else. And
absolutely,
you know what I mean? Like there's a certain thing about him that this community, and we both grew up here. So, you know, as well as anybody.
Yeah. It's why I wanted to come on this pod, really. Like we said, we've been enjoying this break, but when it comes to Dwyane Wade, like I get borderline emotional about it. And I know that I'm not the only one. Like if you were here, And I shout out to Lebatard, who has said this, and it's so true. He raised a generation of us. Like
yes.
I did not understand the passion for sports until Dwyane Wade arrived. And what's so special about Wade, and it's something that all of us have, like, gee, I'm connected to you because of Dwyane Wade. I have a better relationship with my own brother because we bonded over going to games together. And like, that's what he gave us in this community. It was so much more about what was happening off the court than, the greatness that we were experiencing on the court as well. Like, it was just, he bonded us in a way that no other athlete has. And he feels like Miami, shout out to our theme song. But it, like, when I think of Miami sports, for me, it's Wade. Like, it is just an emotional connection that I have with this guy. I genuinely love him, and I'm so grateful and happy for him this weekend. Like he deserves all of the flowers. I'm so glad he's getting this moment.
Dude, the other thing, and I always think about this, and I talked about this on the show before, Moose. You know, Miami is obviously like this huge immigrant community. Like a lot of our parents were not born here, did not grow up here. And, you know, my parents are Colombian and Italian. Your parents are Cuban, many other Cuban Americans, Dominican Americans, all sorts of, you know, Venezuelan Americans, all these. We're a huge melting pot for the Caribbean and South America. And they don't play basketball in those countries the way that they play basketball here. Like in our countries where our parents are from, they play soccer or baseball, right? It's not so basketball was never not popular here, but certainly it wasn't what it is now. And we are the generation that grew up with Dwyane, as you and Lebatard spoke of. And he almost like hardwired a city, or like kind of took control. And of course, the Dolphins weren't winning. And of course, after the early 2000 Canes, that program, you know, kind of fell in hard
were trading
times.
everybody because they could have in 03. They had the championship. Like I remember being 13 years old and I was like, ooh, baseball's fun. And then they just shipped everyone off.
He put basketball in homes of people that never watched it before. My parents never watched a basketball game before Dwyane. And they were captured by it. And I don't know about your family, but my family, they're all big Heat fans now because of Dwyane. And like he like bridged communities in a way that's fucking crazy to me. Because this was like in the 70s and 80s and all that, all the immigrants that came, and I've talked to people about this, they wanted to feel more American. And what's more fucking American than football? Football on Sunday and Saturday. And that was a way for them to fit into a culture that they weren't like too comfortable and familiar with. So that was kind of like what happened. But then that's changed with basketball. I think that's like
you're basically
that's his legacy here. I think
you're basically talking about my dad. Like my dad he grew up obviously in Cuba, came over here, didn't understand American sports and all that, but he got into football. It was big here. And then he lived through the Don Shula era, the Dan Marino era and all that. You know, unfortunately I didn't get that. But needless to say, needless to say, he grew up like a massive Dolphin fan. And we had, you know, shout out to my dad, we had Dolphin season tickets growing up.
Well, that's nice.
But yeah, it was nice. But basketball was always my thing. Like I thought Zoe and Hardaway were cool and all that, but it was Dwyane Wade that like he stole my heart. And I remember demanding season tickets. Shout out to my dad being amazing, giving us the season tickets. He never went to a game, though. It wasn't until many, many years later that I finally dragged into a game for the LeBron era and all that. But you're right. It was Dwyane Wade that like introduced this game. And look, fast forward to now, like you say, both my parents huge Heat fans. But again, he gave us all these moments on the court where you saw our city being resembled in his game, you know? And it was just such like, I mean, I don't want this to be like an hour long, you know, we're just talking about all of his highlights and all that, because I'll be honest, I rewatched his documentary last night to get ready for this. So I'm ready for the top 10 highlights.
You're fucking ready.
But everybody's going to be doing that. For me, what I really want to get across in this podcast is just what he means to Miami. And the reason I'm saying that, needless to say, teeing up, like, when everybody asks me my favorite moment for Wade, it's not what he did on the court. You know, I always say my favorite Dwyane Wade moment is when he went to go see the kids at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas right after the shooting. Like, he had just been traded back to Miami. Needless to say, we were on like just this amazing high of like being reunited and all that. And in this whirlwind of all of this emotion and all the stuff that he's got going on, he goes and surprises these kids and uplifts this community that, you know, is really tragically hurting. And it was just like that wasn't planned. That was just Dwyane Wade doing what he does, putting his imprint in the people here, you know? And that's just like one of those moments where like it's bigger than basketball. What he means to us is way more than a 3-time champion. It's like he's one of us, you know? It's a beautiful thing. I'm sorry. I'm rambling at this point.
No, Moose, do you remember that Dwyane wore, there was a young man who passed in the Stoneman Douglas shooting.
Yes.
And I believe the young man was buried in Dwyane's uniform, right? Because he was such a big Dwyane fan, and he was, I don't remember the sequence of events, but I do know that was reported in the news, and Dwyane, wore the kid's name on his sneakers.
Yeah.
Right. And these are high school kids at that time that were not old enough to watch 2006.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They didn't.
That's a great point.
So they are, what he meant, and they didn't even see the apex. They didn't see the shot against Charlotte where he became Dwyane Wade. They didn't see the Dallas series. They didn't see him with a busted rib against Detroit. These are kids that got the end of it. They might have gone the 41 against Indiana to shut the door, a couple moments here and there, but they didn't, so what he meant, like, it was bigger than his game, right? Because his wake is enormous, Moose.
Yeah.
It's enormous.
Can we talk about some of our favorite Wade moments though? Because there are so many, and we can gush about, like, he's got moments in every single year, but I'm just genuinely curious, like, because I was thinking about it last night. If I've been very lucky where I've been able to be at a lot of these, great moments. So I tried to craft what are some of my. Yeah, shout out to Christian. Shout out to my dad for that epic, like, 8-year sprint.
Shout out to Moose's dad. Shout out to Christian. Happy birthday, Leslie.
Happy birthday, Leslie. Yeah, I sent her a text. Shout out my bona fides. But there's like two moments in particular like keep coming back for me. One of them being the Sasha Pavlovich behind the back half court alley-oop to Shaq. That moment was insane. And it was just one of those plays that I don't think you could ever recreate, even if you tried. You just had to be in the moment. And then the other one being much later in his career, the game winner versus the Warriors at the during the One Last Dance. It was just such a phenomenal last shot, incredible flash Wade moment. That Father Prime era, his eras and nicknames and all that. He was a Hall of Fame nicknamer as well.
What's your favorite nickname?
It's got to be Flash.
It's
got to be Flash.
I love Lob Father.
That's a good one.
I love Lob Father.
Father Prime is fantastic.
Father Prime is great.
Nobody else could have pulled that off.
Remember when he really tried to make the 3 thing happen? He really tried to make fetch a thing.
Yeah, he did.
He really did.
Well, and Wade thing too. He tried to make that a thing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow. That one didn't. That was tied to the sneaker though, and it didn't do well.
Flash was great because Shaq gave him that name.
It's the original one. It really put him on the map. I really feel like Flash it's what set him apart from, his other guys in the draft before winning the championship, needless to say. It was a differentiator for him, definitely.
MV3, but that was more of like the fans, kind of doing that. And then the organization kind of picked up on it too.
I think the other moment that stands out the most is, and it's a sequence of moments, but it was when he was traded back to us.
That to me,
that reunion, that was a week long of raw dog makeup sex.
Oh, dude,
and it
beautiful.
Felt fantastic.
It was amazing. Sedano broke the story, I believe, as well, which made it like so Miami.
I jumped into my friend's arms. I was on Twitter next to like one of my friends at work, and I jumped into his arms with joy.
Oh, bro, I was on Coral. I was driving Coral Gables at the time because I started getting a bunch of texts and I was looking, and everybody was honking. Like in the middle of a workday in Coral Gables. You know what I mean? Like everybody's just fucking honking so and it's like we won a title. It's like he's home.
It happened. And it was for the debut of the White Vice too. It was just perfect timing.
Bro, the White Vice are my favorite.
Basketball gods were in our favor.
I know that people love the Black Vices. I love the White Vice jerseys.
I'm partial to the white as well.
I love a good clean white jersey, man. It's too fresh. So, man, when Dwyane came back, when he was a member of the Bulls, that to me stands out because it was like kind of painful, but it was also like that fucking building loved him. And when Michael Biamonte, when he scored and Mike B, legend, said Dwyane's name as if he scored as a home player, bro, I was with
went
Alex
crazy.
Solana.
I was
and
celebrating
Spoleto.
for him.
Oh, dude, we all were. Then he and Justice got into it a little bit. But Moose, I don't know if you remember, that was after that was the day after Trump got elected. That game when he came back.
Wow.
And it was a
Emotions were
very
high.
tensions were high. And like for example,
Emotions were high.
I was really upset at the election, and I was really upset at the ramifications of, you know, that what it could have of people in my life. And a lot of people were. I mean, it was obviously like a huge topic of conversation. And
the air was thick.
The air was thick.
That entire season that hung over the players. Needless to say, after rewatching the documentary last night, it reminded me of that 2016 season, just in terms of how much it really affected him, or I should say, pushed him more forward to speak his mind on more political issues. And really, it was another evolution of Wade that
His voice. Yeah.
His voice got much louder off the court.
Man, the way that he uplifted the city that day, when I think a lot of people in that building were kind of in mourning for or scared, fear of what was to come. And it was like, and I remember I had a really rough day, and he made me happy one more time, you know, and that was a really special moment for myself. I've talked about it and written about it extensively, so we don't have to get too much into it. But that one stands out.
Let's talk about all these emotional moments, because this is the week to do it. Like him going into the Hall of Fame, it's not only a celebration of who he
as
was
our
as
guy,
a player, but yeah, it's a celebration of all these moments that we were so lucky to experience, that he gave us. Like it really is such a blessing that, man, we got so lucky.
Lucky, dude.
Pat Riley could have taken Chris Kaman or some shit. You know,
he's trying to lie and say that he wouldn't.
We got so lucky, man.
And I love Chris Bosh, but if they had taken Chris Bosh, I love Chris Bosh. Chris Bosh is like one of my favorite Heat players ever.
But it wouldn't have been the same.
Chris Bosh ain't Dwyane Wade, man.
Wouldn't have been the same thing. See, I'm not even gonna get on the webcam.
My camera might work. They might have all been Raptors.
How can we actually? Okay, so we talked about some of the highs. I do want to talk just very briefly about the exit and the way it kind of all went down and the way it played. And because I'll be honest, I've said this before in our chat. I don't know if I've ever said this on air, but sports has only made me cry twice in my life. Never happy tears, unfortunately. One of them was the Jose Fernandez, passing. The other time,
Gordon home run.
It was just that week.
That week.
I think if anything, it was the funeral more. I remember being really, really emotional during the funeral watching that. But the other time that I cried, I'm not gonna lie, when Wade left. And it wasn't the night that he left or that it was announced. I think it was more kind of when it set in, like the following day. I remember there being a tweet from the Miami Heat of like some of his best moments, and it was like a montage thing. And I felt like I was watching his funeral, and I just burst out in tears. And it was something I did not even expect, but it was what he meant to us. And the fact that it was like this thing was over, and it didn't feel like it was the ending that it should have been. Like if he was going to leave, okay, but it wasn't on the terms where it felt like it was right.
It was unceremonious.
Yes.
Well, I remember that was a really interesting time, because if you remember, it was Lebatard reporting kind of on behalf of the organization, and it was Ethan Skolnick reporting on behalf of the player, right? And kind of that. So it was kind of like also like, and
it got contentious.
Ethan and Dan were back to back on the radio. So it'd be like, all right, we get Ethan, we get Izzy.
Good old days.
It was Ethan. It was Ethan and Whittingham, and then after we get Lebatard, and then sometimes Ethan would stay on to do the first segment of Lebatard where they'd compare notes on air. What a fucking time, man! But
that was great, right?
That was, I mean, as like
790.
Dude, 790. Let me tell you something. 790 used to run shit, around these parts.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, it was the goats. But I mean, I was pretty staunchly team Dwyane. Fuck the organization. Yeah, I was. I think really
most
upset.
fans were. I really do get the.
My mom didn't watch for 2 years. She was so upset at what the team did, and she said that's so fucked up. And she like straight up would, and I watched because I was doing Heat Beat and stuff. I did a podcast with George Sedano the night he left, but it was before the news came out. So Sedano, I think it was Sedano, Alf, and I did a show, and then that happened. So obviously we had to pull it, and do another show. And Moose, I was like you, man. I remember I made dinner that night. I made some salmon, and I remember I'm eating my salmon, and I just got kind of like I had some tears, and I was like, I can't believe. I was like, I feel so lame. I go, he's gone, and I'm like crying, eating my salmon, and I was like, this is the most embarrassing day of my life, and it's just me in a kitchen alone.
I know, but and I can't even, like, I'm not laughing. I can't laugh. It was kind of, I felt this way when I saw that video going viral recently about the guy doing a podcast and the Dane news broke. And he's like, oh, he's leaving. Like, and he started crying. It went viral. And I actually felt bad for him because I was like, man, if someone had caught me in my moment processing Wade's departure, like, I was there. You build these bonds with these guys. They give you these feel-good moments.
They're in your living room every night.
And you know what it is too? Wade also is like my last, how should I say, like, connection to my childhood. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like my last like superhero figure. If
you'll never love an athlete like you do when you're
exactly. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Where he got me at that age where I was young enough and like, it's just there's
we were
this
like in
connection.
Middle school, right? When really
I was 13 when he burst on the scene. Yeah,
I was in 8th grade in 06, where I was going into 8th grade when
So and that's what it was too. It was kind of like processing, you know, when he left, the death of my childhood or whatever, and then when he returned, just like I was young again.
it was really the meme. It's so over. We're so back.
But now
you've never been more back.
But like the reason that I wanted to discuss this little period is because now that so much time has passed, you do look back on it, and it's crazy how like everything happens for a reason. Because I do think, granted, the connection to the organization I think could be much stronger. Yes, that's where I'm going, G. That's exactly where I'm going. That year in Chicago was very, very important for Wade off the court. And again, not to like harp on it, but if you watch the documentary, you'll see stuff with his family and all that. It connected us to Jimmy Butler, man. He got us Jimmy Butler. Like Wade was recruiting for us without even realizing that he was recruiting for us.
Moose, that motherfucker appointed his successor.
Yes.
This is his kingdom.
Yes.
We thought it was justice. No.
And then Chicago did what they always do, which is a fucking just spit on their stars and blow it up and all that. And then shout out to Pat Riley for finding a way to bring him home at the end. But it did really, you look at that 2-year run, and it gave him a different appreciation too for the organization. The day your child, I'm not reading that out loud. It wasn't Billy. But I lost my train of thought now. That was a good comment though. That was a great comment.
Chat's insane. No, dude, I'm with you. I mean, it's so many emotions and so many feelings, and it's like it's all the good and bad.
2-year exit.
Yeah.
As much as it sucked, I do think, and then it made the ending that much sweeter. Like, I do think everything happens for a reason, and it was kind of like, I think that 2-year, you know, split may have been beneficial for both sides.
I think so too, and I remember when he left, I talked about how damaging that was for the organization, not just because of Dwyane, because of the Bosch stuff, you know, because remember, like, and I think we can all agree that the organization handled Chris's situation very responsibly, but at the time it didn't appear that way to other players, and Dwyane kept taking less money, and then, you know, it was a lot of bad stuff for the org, and then, you know, I think they obviously bounced back, and Jimmy, you know, obviously comes, and you know, the rest is history. But you know, and it's so funny how we've barely talked about his on-court kind of accomplishments. You know, when they played the montage at the arena when he came back as a Bull, and they're like number 1 in points, and it's like number 1 in this, number 1 in that. The two that got me choked up when it was like number 1 in games and number 1 in wins. Yeah, because it's like all that other shit. He was a fucking winner, like through and through. Did everything on the court that was asked of him. He was like, you know, he was truly the glamour, but he was also kind of the hard hat kind of player that Riley always wanted guys to be. He was a willing rebounder at his size. Listen, they may say 6'4", Moose. I think we all know that man's not 6'4".
Best shot blocking guard of all time. He played like he was 7'8".
They Spo early, and by the way, shout out to mad genius scientist Spo. When Spo came in, they didn't really, Jermaine O'Neal wasn't here yet, by the way. They didn't really have a shot blocker, but they had some pretty decent perimeter defenders and they had a lot of young players. And they're like, why don't we have Dwyane rotate from the weak side and be our rim protector, right? We'll play drop, and then Dwyane's going to be the help man. So they put Dwyane kind of in the short corner, and it worked. Bro, he's like coming up.
Wade embraced it. He loved it.
Brook Lopez is rolling, and Dwyane's like, the two, the double block on Lopez. Obviously, before even Spo got here, the block on Stoudemire, I think is that's my
legendary.
My favorite Dwyane block, and it might be my favorite Dwyane play, which is kind of random. Moose, do you remember in the finals in 2011, Tyson Chandler beats him on a pick? Dwyane's at the level.
Yes.
Yeah. And Dwyane somehow behind the play gets in front of Chandler, blocks him, and then scores on the. It was the most crazy. I was like, whoa, he's better than LeBron.
What was beautiful about Wade too, and yeah, we could get into some of the best on-court moments, but there's so many because he was someone that he understood the moment. He understood.
He understood the pageantry of it too.
Yes, man. He was such a showman. He always was. Like, you think about it, when he first came in, he put his body on the line. That whole fall down 7, get up 8. That's fucking crazy.
Oh, some of the GOAT commercials, the Gatorade commercial.
Yep. An incredible marketer as well. Like, shout out to, he is a genius marketer. You got to give some of that credit to Shaq, and I'm sure he would. He learned a lot from Shaq in terms of how to be a superstar, but credit to Dwyane, where unlike Shaq, he never lost that touch of just being like a genuine dude, and that's kind of always been my issue with Shaq, but that's for another day. Wade's this superstar icon, but like at the core of it, he's still just like this regular guy from Chicago that like we saw grow up. And that's kind of what he always is. God, I just love the guy. I'm sorry.
I love it. Bro, when I see everything that he's doing in support of his daughter, I'm always thinking like, man, I'm so glad that like that's my like hero. Like that shit, it feels good when the people that because at the end of the day, sports is such an investment of like your sucking soul, bro. Like it's not just
an investment of emotion.
It's hard to check it at the door. I think Moose, I think during the regular season, I think we've done this enough and we're old enough that like a loss in like fucking, I don't know, February doesn't bother us really. But I know how we all felt after game 6 against Boston. Right? We were crushed. Like we got on hangover time, and that shit was rough. Devastating. And I think we all use that word. But then rewind, Moose, to game 5 against Milwaukee when they win. We're on here like, I remember Tiff saying like, I've never felt this way. Tiff, the most like, I call her like the most honorable, straight-laced, like focused person I know. And she's just like, I don't know how to feel like this. I have so many
know what to do with my hands.
Yeah, like literally, like, because that's what this investment does. And when the guy that is at the top of that is like this A+ human being who stands for all the right things, not just says it, but like goes out and does it, lives with like a genuine humility that's not fake, because he will give himself credit, but he'll also have like a genuine like humility about, what his wife has done, what his father has done, what his mother has done, and what she's learned, to his faith, so many things. And he's just an incredible man. And Lebatard talked about that. I believe he was on yesterday, about what he's a better man than he is a basketball player, which is hard to do. Yeah, I mean, definitely I can't overstate enough just how much of a Hall of Fame person he is. First ballot Hall of Fame person. But I do want to get into that Lebatard interview, because I know that we have some sound from there, and it's a perfect example to rewind it just a little bit of Dwyane Wade understanding the moment and being a showman.
Talking earlier about what you've learned.
It's okay,
Paul. I'm wondering, have you ever wanted to just tell Paul to shut the fuck up?
Very subtle. Very subtle.
Well,
I mean, listen, rent is expensive in America, and I'm living rent free right now. So let them keep going. I like living rent free.
But it is. No, Dwyane, but the part that is funny, you don't have to say it for anybody, but the idea that while you were playing that you would figure out, okay, I lost to Boston's big three and I just had 50 points a game and I can't get past them. This is never going to happen to me again. Paul, I'm going to build a better version of that, and I'm going to win with that, and I'm going to decimate the end of your career and run the Celtics and run the Celtics off the road. And part of it we're going to do with Ray as well. And how great is that going to be? That's forever. Paul will know that forever that while he was at the Vegas spa celebrating his one championship, you came for all of it and took it.
This is why I love you guys. This is why I love the media, this part right here. It's documented. I don't need to say anything. Everything is documented. So I'll let you guys go ahead and talk about all that stuff. It sounds better coming from y'all than me. I'm done playing a game of basketball. I'm not comparing myself to someone who's not playing the game or who's playing the game. That's not my challenge anymore. But I like how you said that, Dan. I did do that. I did make sure that at the Boston. Hey, listen, it was when I came up the court, it was 4 dudes just looking at me in that series like, what you gonna do? I just had to shoot. And so I was like, never again. You won't get me like this again.
I mean, it's what you did. You got pissed off and you said, LeBron,
Yeah.
I mean, LeBron, let's run the league for a while and Chris will come too and it'll be kind of great. That's how it came together, is it not?
Everyone acts like we are the ones who did this. Like maybe we're the ones as players who decided to, come together. But organizations was trying to figure this out, right? And so it was our time and we had our time. And I got tired of that. LeBron got tired of that, I'm sure. That's why we decided to get together. When you're coming up the court and you got 4, 5, 6 dudes, even the coach looking at you, calling all your moves, the plays out, leaving guys open. You don't want to do that as a great player. And so I went and got my Avengers. And I came into the league with my Avengers, and everybody mad that I was able to play with different guys, just because I was able to play with Shaq and then able to play with LeBron. And I always talk about that, man. It's like it's not easy to play with guys, especially different styles. From a guy from playing in the post to a guy with the ball on the perimeter. I got to learn how to play with all those guys, and I did. And so I'm happy with my career, and I don't know who's not happy with theirs, but I'm sorry if you're not. But I'm happy with the way mine went.
Left out 7-time All-Star Joe Johnson.
I love him so much, though. I mean, understanding the moment. Fuck you, Paul Peirce. I don't even need to acknowledge you.
Dog, it's so funny.
Free.
We are so in step with Dwyane as a fan base. Even he knows it's fuck Paul Peirce every day of the god.
Shout out Mikey Jimenez for starting the Paul Peirce sucks chant.
Shout out to Mikey Jimenez. He Twitter goat. Dwyane looks like he's in better shape now than periods of when he played.
Man, that's the other thing too. I was watching that documentary last night. I was like, this guy looks better now.
look at this. Look at this man. Look at that man. Dude. That guy has. I bet you his body fat percentage is less than what it was when he was here.
Yeah, 6%.
I seen his Instagram. I seen the thirst trap post with Gabby.
Well, listen, Gabby looks good too, so he's got to stay fit.
Bro.
Keep up with the Joneses. Wade Jones. All-time moment.
All-time moment. The lady, the city council lady says
they should have her enshrine him
for Wade Jones. Wade Jones, and she's like looking around. That parade was great. You got Pat dancing. Was that Shaq had the water guns? That
was a phenomenal.
That was the best parade.
I don't know about that.
You don't think so? I think that was the best parade.
Real parades, because I consider the welcome party a parade as well.
Oh no, the welcome party was the most lit thing we've done. But no, yeah. I mean like actual parade.
Okay, then maybe I would go with that.
I just think it was the first one. Shaq, yeah, that was the first one. Well, I will say, so I went to I didn't go to the first one, but I did watch it on TV. I really wish I was there. The other two were great. I had a great time, but there's something magic about Shaq with the water guns, and Riley, a little bit younger. I don't even think Riley was on the floats in the other years. It's hot.
Not in the later years.
That's planet.
Well, if he was on the floats, maybe. I don't know.
Moose. I can't even imagine
moving it inside towards the end.
Yo,
they got
straight
smart.
up
On the back-to-back, they were smart. They were like, nah, we're doing this inside.
Bro, I have a question for you. If they had a parade tomorrow, let's say they had won the title, I'm not going. It's too hot. The heat index was 105 today.
Yeah, no. They would have to do it inside. That's the only way I would consider it.
It's just too bad. I thought about that today. I was like, man, I don't think I'd be outside for any kind of sporting event. I don't know how the Inter Miami fans do it during the day.
Man, I think about that every day with training camp going on right now for the Dolphins. Needless to say, they're doing it early in the morning, but still at 8 a.m. Think about that heat.
Bro, when they play in September, rip to them.
Unbearable.
It's gonna be
I think they're on the road most of September, but don't
good for
quote
them.
me. I haven't really looked at the schedule.
I don't know,
But to
football.
kind of like wrap up the Wade thing,
to put a
just
bow,
to bring it all back, of the like Hall of Fame moments that we're gonna get this weekend, is there one in particular that you're looking forward to the most? Besides the speech and all that, maybe someone he's going to acknowledge or something he's going to say or do. I don't know.
I want to see how he talks about the organization, because as you said, the relationship is weird. You kind of said you wished it was closer or whatever. It's so, and I want, what we can close with this, Moose, and I want to hear what you're looking forward to, but we can kind of close on this kind of little bookend. I feel that he's proud that he came from here, that he almost looks at coming through Heat culture like a badge of honor. I think he cares. He loves, but doesn't like the organization.
Interesting.
But like, he loves the organization,
but
doesn't like it. But also like, and I would wonder, because obviously like, I think he ascribes like a lot of like him as a player to himself, his work, his trainers, all that. But I wonder how much he gives to like, well, I came up in that system, and that I am the apex product of what that is. And I feel like he might look at it that way. And when he talks about Heat culture, even Iguodala, he and Iguodala had to talk about Anthony Edwards, and then, Ant Edwards needs a little culture and shit. He needs a couple years with the Heat. Like it's almost like dudes that come from here, like that come through here, are so proud of it that they wear that shit as a badge. And I kind of get that vibe from him, and that he loves it, but doesn't like them, which is kind of the frost. Obviously, there's been a lot of things happening, but I don't know. I was wondering what you thought about that.
No, I see. Hearing your explanation of it, I do think I'm more aligned with you. I do think that he loves not only the city of Miami, because I think his genuine love for the fan base, that I think it's reciprocated. I think the same way that
he loves us.
Yeah, like I think he genuinely loves this
never
community.
Turned on him.
Never turned on him. We embraced him. We understand that people are flawed too. Like, not every single thing Dwyane Wade has ever done in his life has been perfect. But we've sheltered him and embraced him and let him grow here. Yeah, exactly. So I do think that there is, like I was going to say, genuine love for Miami. I think there's genuine love for the organization. Like you said, I think he embraces Heat culture, and like Heat culture really defined him, and I think helped him achieve everything he wanted to do. Not to say that he wouldn't have been a Hall of Fame player anywhere else, but I do think,
for sure,
and he feels this way too. There's something about Dwyane Wade in a Miami Heat jersey. It's different. We saw when he returned, he was a different player when he
pushed
returned.
each other.
They needed each other. Now, where I think the tension lies in the organization is more so, truthfully, and I may be wrong here, but I think it's really more with Pat.
Yeah.
And just that one fuck up in 2016.
I think it goes deeper than that. I think.
Well, yes, I do think that there is some of like who gets the credit for the big three.
And we've heard a little bit of some of the behind the scenes.
But
there's a little bit.
But I think some of that is also natural for, an alpha male Pat Riley running the organization and the alpha male star.
Pat was also his coach. Like Pat.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like right before the big three.
But I'm going back to all of it. I'm going back to when Pat's yelling in dude's ears doing drills, or when Dwyane and Shaq are taking off the heart monitors on the bike, from Shaq's book. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that. That's what I mean. Like I think it goes back. I think there's a little bit of animosity even from back. I mean, I'm sure that, and I mean, I know Magic's a different guy, but it looks hard to like go through that and then come away like, you gotta be like, man, UD is kind of a different dude though.
UD's a totally different.
UD is a little psycho in a good way.
And it's also just different circumstances for UD as well, being, from here and all that. But so to sum it up, like I do think there's love for the Miami Heat. I think there's love for the community. I think he's going to speak very, very, very fondly of the organization. But yes, there's always going to be this tension. Like he's not he's not going to replace Pat Riley. And that may have been like the ultimate vision in his mind.
Organizationally, because the fan base has.
Well, yeah, no. I'm talking about like he wants to be Pat. He wants to own the Miami Heat, run the Miami Heat. This is me guessing. Like maybe in his head, that was the end goal, to be like the ultimate Miami Heat guy.
And he's spoing Andy with the real big three.
Yeah, for real though. Those are the people that are going to succeed Pat Riley, and I think he understands that now, which is why I think Utah. Like, I actually think our relationship with him is going to be better now.
Bro, he talks more about us than the fucking team he owns.
That's what I'm saying. And he's modeling the Jazz. His build of the Jazz is Heat culture. That's what he even just, and you can look it up. They just started court culture for the Utah Jazz. And that's Dwyane Wade running that shit, like doing like cool apparel and all that gives back to the community. And it's all great. Like, I applaud him for doing all of this. But it's all things that he's learned
Should
here.
be here, damn it. Should be.
And there's always.
But the organization did offer him, so I want to clear that up. Everybody always says Mickey.
But I do think that there will always be a good connection with Wade in Miami, and like this is always going to be a home for him.
Close us out, Moose. What are you looking forward to most in the Hall of Fame festivities?
The speech. Wade, as we've said time and time again, Wade is a showman. He understands the moment. His speech during his jersey retirement was beautiful. I fully expect his speech this weekend.
He's going last, right? Oh, but he and Dirk are both.
I don't know. I really don't know the order.
Who goes last? Chat. Who goes last?
I think Wade goes last. But I could see them giving the international nod to Nowitzki. Or Tony Parker too, man. It's a stacked class.
Tony Parker's in the tier below. Tony Parker, get out of the conversation. Tony Parker. This is a 2-horse race.
It should be Wade though. I think Wade.
Wade either goes first or last. Has to be, right?
Yeah. That's a good call.
Yeah. Ryan Spravero says Dirk isn't as entertaining as Wade. Yeah, Dirk. Well, I don't know. Dirk. Remember when Dirk hit the bug on the press conference? When Dirk squashed the fly and he's like, "Did I get it?" I
do think that Wade's speech, though, like I'm anticipating it being just a very emotional, very honest, very Dwyane Wade speech, and I can't wait for him to get all of the praise. I mean that he's getting right now, but like just enjoy that. That weekend. He earned it, man.
Bro. I also think that Dwyane and Dirk going in together is perfect.
It really is.
Their careers they're so connected in a weird way because we would never think of them as rivals. But kind of when you close the book on it, it's just crazy. It's insane. And I'm happy that we have been a part of this. We're not doing the Moose and I don't meet. We don't go sit at our friend's wedding. At least I don't go to Christian's wedding this summer. So I don't go to Alf's baby shower. I don't meet all these incredible people. Go do incredible things. Work with incredible people.
doesn't exist, maybe.
Heapy doesn't exist. I don't get on Twitter, which has made friends all over the world. I went to Europe.
That's so true.
I
don't get on Twitter with that's so true, G.
Dude, think about how our world has expanded because of the stupid fucking bird app. And
X,
and fucking hell, bro. But yeah, guys. So we'll come back to you next week with a little recap of what happened at Hall of Fame Day. # D Wade weekend, all that good stuff. If there's a little update, you know that we got you guys. And we'll kind of throw shows out when we feel like it. Thanks for sticking with us. Good to see faces in chat. And as Moose said, prayers for Hawaii and prayers for Brian Goins.
He doesn't know what he's praying for yet. He's about to like log.
I'm about to find out, but yeah,
find out. Yeah,
prayers
for Maui. Prayers for Maui.
All right, peace out, guys.